Well, Silas, I'm glad you spent some time here in Chicago on the program, and much success for you and your Packers when you're not playing the Bears. So I appreciate you coming on the program.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it as well.
Great to hear from Silas Young, his thoughts about Ring of Honor. And now we turn to Josh Lopez. Go to youtube.com, look for the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. Also go to prowrestlingtranscriptions.com. You'll find Josh Lopez there. He joins us on Tuesday Wrestling Tuesday here on ESPN 1000. Hello, Josh.
All right, AJ, so a tweet came out yesterday from former champion JBL.
I saw that, yes.
Highlighting that you are now the longest reigning champion exclusive to the SmackDown brand.
Yeah, a lot of people thought we were talking about, what about this guy? What about that? We're talking specifically about SmackDown. JBL was the longest reigning SmackDown champion in the history of SmackDown. But now that's me. I've held the championship longer than anyone on SmackDown, and I take pride in that. That's a pretty cool thing to have accomplished, and I appreciate JBL saying something.
Then, could you have ever imagined when you signed with WWE 3 years ago that you'd be breaking records so quickly?
3 years ago? Not quite. Not quite 3 years yet. But when I signed with them almost 3 years ago, I never could have imagined everything that would happen. There's a lot of things that I've done that's been a first here in WWE. And I take a lot of pride in that, being the first to ever win a championship overseas, as far as a WWE championship. That's huge. And now being the longest reigning SmackDown champion, and it's pretty cool.
And that title victory came in your current reign that you've got right now.
Oh wow! You know what? I didn't think about that. The title reign, yeah. I beat Jinder Mahal in the UK. Man, I didn't think about that, and it seems like it was so long ago. But who knows how long I'm going to be able to be the champ? I got Samoa Joe at SummerSlam, and though I talk as if I'm going to keep this championship forever, but the truth is, Samoa Joe's one of the baddest dudes I've ever been in the ring with. He can do it all. He's athletic. He's big, which is scary. So we'll see what happens.
Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing today? It's August 16th, 2018. We're doing a test here. No, I'm kidding. It's not a test. This is not a drill. You see it on social media a lot of times. This is not a drill. Breaking news alert. This is not a drill. Not a drill. Not a drill. But it is episode 119 of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast, as you're listening to it right now on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, anywhere you get your podcast from. My name is Josh Lopez. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Notorious Joshi. I am alongside my brother from another mother, the one and only Clown Prince Adam Daley. What's going on, my man? What's going on, my man? Hello? Testing? Anybody there?
Oh, my bad. I was muted. I was muted there. I'm sorry about that. I was handling a little business on the side here. We do as we do. But go ahead, brother, with the intro. I'm gonna I'll stay unmuted. But I'm handling some work emails on the side real quick. So hello everybody, and then and go ahead and then we'll get into wrestling stuff.
Hope you guys had a good week. First off, I want to send a shout out to Jonathan Hood, who had me on his Tuesday Wrestling Tuesday program on ESPN 1000 WMVP AM Chicago on Tuesday night. It was really a blessing that I didn't see coming, nor do I feel I deserve, but the fact that Hoodie wanted to have me on as a guest on his program on the week of SummerSlam is really, really humbling. You could find my portion on Hoodie's podcast. It's Under Hood Podcast on Apple Podcasts, also on SoundCloud, and also you can get it on the ESPN app. So check out Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. And by the way, Hoodie's got the best talk show on ESPN 1000 anyway, so go support the good bird. He does a lot of good stuff. Anyways, Other things I want to plug, you can check out my work at ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. Just finished the G1. Speaking of the G1, I'm going to do a separate podcast coming out this weekend. It's going to be like 20 or 25 minutes, where it's just going to be me recapping my experience covering and transcribing all the G1 events, like which performer stood out the most to me, also one of my favorite matches, and where I can see some of the storylines going forward for New Japan Pro Wrestling. But if you haven't seen any of my articles from the G1, please go check out ProWrestlingTranscription.com, and it'll be another busy weekend as well, because it's SummerSlam weekend, so we got Brooklyn TakeOver to talk about, we got SummerSlam to talk about, and we got a lot of fun stuff to get out of the way. But that's all the plugs I have for yours truly. Just one last thing, and this is a personal request, personal favor you guys can do for us. You don't have to if you don't want to, but help us reach and expand the growth of our show. Please give us a 4 or 5 star rating on Apple Podcasts. Leave us a review. Tell us what you like and don't like about the show. Also, please hit the like button here on YouTube and subscribe to the YouTube channel to get every full edition of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. I don't have the ends to make the means to make sure I have all the full episodes on iTunes. Podomatic has a fee you have to pay to have amount of storage and this and that, and there's a lot of media malicious stuff that you don't want to be bored with. So that's a wrap for plugs. I'm Joshy, alongside the Conference. I want to give shout out first of all to G-Rod. G-Rod from RANT made the announcement just about an hour and a half ago that he's taking a little hiatus from the wrestling media, and he's going to start focusing some other work. Just want to give shout out to G-Rod because, despite my bad experience at the Not Anything Interesting network, there were at least a few people, and I can't even count on a full hand of good people at that network, but he was one of the good ones to me when I got my start on the Pipe Bomb, and with Adam too at the same time. We're both on the show. G-Rod's always been a cool guy. I always supported my work. I always supported his work, and as producers and editors of audio content, it's not easy stuff that we do. And I have a big admiration for G-Rod as a person, very low-key, not always about himself, and strays away from drama and that. And that's what I always respected about G-Rod. So G-Rod, keep grinding, keep doing you, man. I enjoyed your work on RANT, and you're gonna be missed. You're not dying or anything. I don't want to make that perfectly clear, but G-Rod's the man.
Yeah, you're always giving people obituaries and shit. What the hell's going on?
I don't know. It's just my way I present things, I guess.
I'm joking with you.
Yeah, but anyways, give a shout out to G-Rod. You can follow him on Twitter at Real G-Rod if you want. G-Rod's a very talented guy. Anyways, to start off on a more, I wouldn't say interesting note, but kind of disgusting note. I don't know if you guys have been to Rock, but it's 2018 and we're finally calling out jackasses when they need to be called out. And that's what happened yesterday through Peyton Royce and Dave Meltzer. I am not going to be airing the clip that he made on Peyton Royce the other day with Bryan Alvarez because A, I don't need to give him press, and B, the audio is just disgusting and I don't want to listen to it again. And I think it's interesting that we're only focusing on Dave when his bitch boy, Alvarez, is just as culpable to the audio of what was said towards Peyton as he was, and cackling in the background. I made a little post about this on Instagram, and we're not going to spend the entire show talking about this, but I think it's important to point out that, having this guy being the Bobo, whether you like it or not, voice of wrestling fans or hardcore wrestling fans or whatever label you want to thrust upon it, I don't think it's cool. I don't care how long you've been in this game. I don't care how many sources you have. I don't care if you're even like the most edgy guy with the biggest bravado in this wrestling bubble game we're in. It doesn't exclude you for being an asshole. So I have no sympathy for Dave Meltzer. I've made my points very clear on his style of reporting and just the way he conducts himself on air. I've never shied away from my opinions on the guy. And I'm glad that, and I'm glad, but sad at the same time, they have to get to this point for people to actually recognize who this guy is. And that's my point about it. Peyton Royce is a very talented performer, and his whole talking point about her looks being a detriment in how she's presented on the main roster was just fucking stupid. Because her and Billy are doing good work. Are they fighting for titles? No. They just came up to SmackDown after WrestleMania. But, it's because the way they look is how they're being pushed back. And that's just a fucking stupid comment. If you look at Peyton Royce and you're going to tell me that she's not pretty or this or that, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You might be visually blind. I know you're mentally blind. But still, it's fucking ridiculous.
Well,
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say here's if it's I know that I can't get through SmackDown without my wife staring holes through me through a certain segment every week. So that's number one. And I know that there's a reason why that my beautiful, lovely, the most beautiful woman in the world, my loveliest of life, Sam, wants to be a fan of the Iconics so much. But there's something that isn't allowing her to be. And unfortunately, it's because I've been talking about Peyton Royce for a very long time. But no disrespect to Ty Dillinger. It's all respectful, obviously. Meaning, guys, that's a sly way of as I go male chauvinist pig, yes, when she's on TV because I think she's hot. So I thought this was kind of humorous, but I just tell that joke just because it's a running joke between me and Sam. Sam has her little Finn Balor moment every week. I have my Peyton Royce moment every week, and we're good, But my big question, brother, is why are we still listening to anything Dave Meltzer says? I think of for me, I look at the evolution of man chart, and it's like Caveman, Dave Meltzer, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Ryback, Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer from Saturday Night Live, and then Upright Man. That's how I feel like the evolution of man goes. And so why the fuck are we still listening to this dude? Any of us? I don't listen, I close social media down because it's poisonous, and this is the reason why it's poisonous, is because this dude's getting exactly what he wants, and that's attention. Anytime he says something controversial or chauvinistic or homophobic or whatever the case may be, he's stirring the pot because I don't know if we haven't realized this yet, but it's 2018 and anybody can obviously say anything. And as long as you're getting the ratings or the clicks or the retweets or the likes or whatever, it just doesn't matter. It simply doesn't matter. I mean, it's, just not getting, political, but there's the thing is about, our, random tapes about our president saying the N-word. Well, you know what? He wouldn't be the first and he wouldn't be the last. And I'm not defending the dude, but this is where we're at in society, is that it's like all bets are off. And this is sad. And the more we give, the more we air, the more we give it some air and we let it breathe, the more it's just going to continue to go on. So instead of just telling this dude to go fuck himself, and then everybody, I have, this is when I don't want to deal with people's bullshit, and again, with the social media stuff, I just block them. And so if it's not something that I have Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump blocked on Twitter just because I don't want to read either of their bullshit. I have Alvarez and Meltzer blocked on there just because if people retweet their shit, I don't want to see. I know that there's people out there that are intentionally just assholes. They're playing characters, not anything interesting, Russo, a lot of them dudes. The reason why I have them blocked isn't because any dislike or anything personal. It's just I don't want to see people just intentionally fan of flames to get the wrestling community just in an uproar. And that's ultimately what this dude is he's upset that he looks like a monkey. Okay. Like I said, barely on the evolution scale. He's second in from knuckle dragger. And he'd be lucky for someone like Peyton Royce to give him the time of day. So that's just midlife crisis shit of, I just got to be the male chauvinistic. I'm the old man, and back in my day, I was a man, and there's no real men. When we all know that Silas Young's the really last man alive. But no, but I think this is just it's men of a certain age, man. I mean, it's easier for them to throw shade. It's easier for them to say little sleight of hand things. There's a lot of men to do this and for him to backpedal, and even in his apology, it seemed very flimsy. But you're hearing this everywhere. There's men in, well, I wouldn't call Dave Meltzer a man of power, but there's men in power everywhere that are using, they are taking shots at women, whether people are picking up on it or not. And this is just another one of those ways that he's trying to knock down a talent that, for all intent and purposes, Josh, realistically, the reason why we haven't really seen a full-fledged, push behind the Iconics yet is because they haven't introduced the women's tag team championships yet. When they do that, I expect it to be much different. Because if there's somebody right now that epitomizes a tag team, it's them two. So we always say as fans, sometimes patience is a virtue that we lack, with anybody, because we want them pushed now. We want them in the title scene now. They have to be, we can't give them that 3 or 4 months of breathing room to kind of learn the ropes, kind of learn the road, learn this and that and the other thing. As somebody that has been around this business for so long and has the connections and gets worked by WWE just as much as the fans do. You'd think that he would understand a little more, and I just didn't like the in the apology the unrealistic expectations of what a woman should look like, because then it's like, you know what, man, you're still kind of trying to talk shit. Like that was still a backhanded slap. So I just think it's the best way, and ultimately, like I said, it's just don't give them attention. This is the last I'll say of it, because I never listen to Dave Meltzer, or like I said, I haven't blocked. I've never listened to him. I don't really care about what his opinion is. I don't know why people give a shit. I really don't. I have no idea. Josh, I don't know why people care what we think, let alone like some of these other people. I really don't, man. I don't. I get it to some extent, but there comes a certain point where you can tell people are just they're just jaded by the product, or they're just angry, or they're just whatever. And man, if that's your bag, that's your bag, but I don't get it. So the best way to take to take anything out of this and put the power back in Peyton Royce is just quit giving this dude, quit giving him attention. He's just a media whore. That's all he is. He's a media whore that demands attention, and we're giving it to him. So ultimately he's winning. Yeah.
And you mentioned this before. There's a lot about wrestling and community that's positive, but there's also things like this that happen that paint wrestling fans or wrestling media members or podcasters, whatever you want to call it. It just sheds a bad light to what people are trying to do. And
go
ahead.
I was going to say, let's not, and not to cut you off further, but let's not make it seem like there is absolutely still a certain demographic of the wrestling base that's still that old school male chauvinist pig that thinks women belong in a kitchen, and they're sitting there talking about this and that and retweeting porn all day on their fucking Twitters, but talking about how they're real men, and they're like, let's talk to your wife about that and see what a real man is.
No, I was going to get to what you were saying right there. I totally agree. It's interesting how a lot of the other bubble people are going out after the guy, after those same people were trying to bring down friends of ours like Liz Rainey and other talented people like Trina. How your wife had to.
I've heard so much shit talked about Sam, and listen, she's a big girl. She fights her own battles, but it is men take cheap shots and men take low blows because men are fucking petty assholes, and we are. We're all, and men don't like hearing that. If you're at home right now going, oh no, fuck you fucking hippie, or what, and then I must be talking about you. I'm sorry. I'm an insecure person in certain ways, but I'm never insecure about another man. So, you know what I mean? And I'm certainly not insecure about women having success in this country. So again, I think that says a lot of the person that it's coming from. It's great when you're on a pedestal, but when you say real stupid shit and real chauvinistic shit, mainly because you're petty and insecure and realize that your time's probably up in this business, you're just taking cheap shots just for ratings.
Right, exactly. And I feel like, in a sad way, I'm not going to be surprised if something stupid comes out before Evolution. And I remember when we had that podcast where we talked about the announcement of the pay-per-view, there's still a part of me that feels uneasy about the show. Not because I feel indifferent to the pay-per-view. I'm very excited for the women to perform there, but you know, you have the fucking people in the bubble who are going to make it all about themselves, about whether or not WWE is pushing propaganda instead of focusing on the women. And then you have stuff like this coming out, and I don't know what's going to be next, or people are going to fucking cry about Ronda Rousey possibly becoming a champion on Sunday. It's just like you said, men are insecure about women actually succeeding without despite if it's on their terms or not. And I think that's ridiculous.
But here's the bipolarism that is Dave Meltzer, though. Because listen, we're all big, you know, we're all big Nia Jax fans here in the Daley household. You know, from top to bottom. My daughter loves her. You know, Sam's a big fan. I really appreciate her work. And so I follow Nia, and a lot of people always go after Nia Jax, but Meltzer's the first one to always defend Nia Jax, though. You know, he's the first one to say, okay, listen. Formal, you know, she was an athlete that turned model, when people go after her looks or say she doesn't belong there. And then, so this is why to me, it's just all, you know, and this is why, listen, and I understand I've been saying this for years, Josh, and you know this, all the world's a stage. So, you know, these mainly men that do this that have to play these characters and change their names for, you know, to play these characters on, you know, because they can't be their genuine selves. And they know that, you know, playing an over the top character is going to get them more attention than just being authentic. But that's the puzzle that is Dave Meltzer. You know, I mean, because he goes to bat for one and then takes cheap shots at another. It almost makes you feel like he does it because he knows he would never have a chance really with either, but he in his twisted mind, there is still a hierarchy. It's almost like Uncle Dave, which is, by the way, I always like joke around about that on here. I started thinking about that. I don't like that he calls himself Uncle Dave. I'm going to stop using that. That's fucking creepy. That's fucking really creepy, man. So I don't know, man. I think maybe it's there's a lot, you know, as I'm kind of talking it out, maybe there's just more to it than, you know, it's almost like, well, he felt like he had to protect one because poor her, and he's taking cheap shots at somebody else. I don't know. I just, you know, maybe people were blowing it out. You know, I don't know the exact context either, because I'm not gonna fucking give him a click or listen to that. You know, I mean, who? All I know is that it's just overly ridiculous anymore. That how just low and cheap, and how cheaply quick we have to get, you know, as humans anymore. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense to me with, like, you're mentioning about Nia Jax. Oh, she doesn't deserve this opportunity. Oh, she deserves this because she looks like this or whatever. And I see that a lot with, like, Carmella or Alexa Bliss. How many times you go on Twitter and you be like, oh, Vince has a hard-on for Alexa Bliss. So I'm trying to figure this out. Does Vince have a hard-on for Roman Reigns or Alexa Bliss? Because people can't make up their fucking mind which one it is.
You know, it's maybe they're just damn good.
Yeah, how about that?
I mean, I really right now, I know that, listen, we all have our favorites. We can all play whatever. It's just, you know, it's timing and what they want to do in the story that they want to tell. And is it always perfect? No. But let's just stop hating one talent, that supremely talented people. Like any hatred towards Alexa Bliss right now is just sheer. It's just sheer petty. It's pettiness. You know what I mean? Just and ultimately just on the reverse, because it's this weird Sasha versus and they've never even really had a feud yet. You know, but this weird Sasha versus Alexa, you know, like fan feud that's going on. It's so bizarre because they're both supremely talented, and they're both going to be in this division and do a lot of good things in this division for a very long time. But that's the thing. There's always timing, right? You know, Evolution's coming up, and there's so many other stories that Sasha Banks, I feel like, can tell. Like, you know, sometimes you need a certain person to play a certain role. Sasha's so versatile. They can go so many different ways with her. They can keep the tag team together. They can go 4 horsemen. Women versus 4 horsewomen, if they really wanted to try that out, if that's really a thing, you know, if they want to have her and Bayley split up. I mean, there's so many different great stories that they can tell right now. I don't know why people always want to rush things along, you know, other than the fact that it's just not what they want. And I don't think this has anything to do. Obviously, we're like spun totally off of Meltzer now, and now we're kind of in a way talking about like the wrestling, you know, fan sphere, I guess. But I think that's the problem there, Josh, is that it runs into, you know, the complaints are just people are just proven wrong. They think they have it figured out and they don't. They think things should be sooner than they do. And ultimately, they don't see the money. And I that's why I think opinions are ever, it's great that we all have them, but we got to remember not all of ours smell too good.
But the reason I was directing it this way is because a lot of those fan opinions and narratives comes from him. And I've talked about this in the past where we've had an era of fans who've had their wrestling perspective, if you will. I'm using air quotes in perspective, by the way, dictated by this guy's thought process.
Well, and you know what? It's not just him, and ultimately, this is a don't hate the player, hate the game kind of scenario. And this is what I always apologize for my dog, guys. I'm sure you guys are hearing him, but we're having thunderstorms here in Pittsburgh, and my dog is like freaking out. So, but I think this is one of those, Josh, where I don't like when people, go after the news media in any fashion and blame the media for, well, the media is causing this. No, they're not. You're the one buying it. You're drinking it. You're drinking that Kool-Aid straight down, So it's, are there dangers out there? Absolutely. But as human beings, we're supposed to be able to filter through the bullshit. So I can't blame Dave Meltzer for a certain mindset out there, just like I will never blame a Vince Russo for a certain mindset out there. I will never blame a whomever, because typically it's the polarizing figures that know that they can dip into a certain mindset, a certain, that's how Trump won the election. There is a market for that still. Like I just, kind of like I said earlier, it's the easiest way to drown out that, rather than screaming back, the easiest way to drown them out is just not giving the airtime, just turning them off, and I do, and I know it, it's easy to say, well, you know what, they could just change their ways, but if they're making some scratch off it, they're making some scratch, we would never tell, just like any other entertainer, because ultimately they're entertainers. They're not, they can claim journalists all they want. They're entertainers. I would not put a journalism tab on Dave Meltzer. He's dirt sheet to me. I don't mean that disrespectfully. I just mean that he reports on rumors. He reports on entertainment. He's Entertainment Tonight, TMZ. He's nothing more than anybody that we would make fun of. He's the Billy Bush of fucking professional wrestling. So who really gives a shit? I guess. I mean, I don't know. I'm like, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. But I guess, Josh, that's where I'm at. Like I don't know. Am I wrong with this one, brother? Because I feel like pointing the finger at the media and pointing finger solely at a personality, all that's doing is that's giving us whataboutism, and we're never truly addressing the root cause, which is the thirst for validation of our own fucked up thoughts. When we're in the minority because we're wrong, we look for that one person that agrees with us just so we can feel like we're right. And that's where these people get their breath from. That's where they get their fucking paychecks from. That's where they get their. So let's stop giving them their paychecks. If in fact that's what we, what I mean. If we need to move past that, but unfortunately, there's still a mindset. There's still a market for that, and I think that's more telling about society than it is about Dave Meltzer or any of these other people.
Yeah, I see where you come from.
I'm dropping some Hindu bombshells. And I better not say that because I'm trying to do like Buddha, like make a Buddha joke, and fucking people are going to be like, oh no, here we go with religion. I'll get something. I'm sorry, brother. I don't want to. I'll just let that one go.
I think it's more on me, and it's like I'm never going to allow somebody to have their ideologies reflect on how I look at things.
Right.
That's just me.
Yeah, that's not most people though. People are sheep, man. People want their opinion formed. There's happiness in slavery. And I know it's a Nine Inch Nails song and it's a saying, and there's a lot of truth in it. There's not a lot of truth in the history of it, but there's a saying that says what you own eventually owns you. We're slaves to our cell phones. We've become slaves to, you can't, we have to have our phones. God forbid you turn your phone off for an hour. I should just disconnect for one day, and half the people listening to this would have a panic attack. Right. I never have my ringtone on, or like on my phone. My ringer's never on. If I'm at home, sometimes if I'm expecting work, yes. Otherwise, I use it as a straight answering machine, and I'll get back to people. We live in it's a crazy world right now, man. And I do believe that people I do believe this. I believe, Josh, unfortunately, until people show me that we can start thinking for ourselves again, I absolutely believe that all we do is we get we react on feeling, not fact, and then we find the people that are talking about our feelings so that we can utilize their narrative as fact. Right. And that's not you or I, but that is a hell of a lot of people in this country. Absolutely.
I couldn't agree more. I want to send our condolences to the family of Aretha Franklin, who passed away this morning. It was reported on Monday that she got gravely ill, and Aretha was dealing with a long stage of breast cancer. Those that listen to the podcast know that I'm a really big R&B fan, and I loved music most of my life, especially for that type of music. And I played a lot of Aretha Franklin songs in high school and jazz bands and different outings and this and that. And Aretha was one of the legends out there. They called her the Queen of Soul, and she passed away today at the age of 76. So I just wanted to send some condolences out to the Franklin family.
She, I'm pretty sure sang the national anthem or America the Beautiful at a WrestleMania, did she not?
Yep, WrestleMania 3 and 23.
That's what I thought.
Also, I want to send our condolences to the late Jim the Anvil Neidhart as well. Very sad past couple weeks. And I was talking about this the other night with Hoodie, just these unfortunate trends during the summer where you have a lot of these wrestling legends die. I mean, we had like 3 people, Brickhouse Brown, Nikolai Volkov, and Brian Christopher a couple weeks ago. And then, Jim unfortunately passed away on Monday. And so our hearts go out to the family of Natalia and the entire Hart family in general, man. That sucks. The very rare times I ever watched like Total Divas or anything like that, like he's like the main guy that stood out to me. And Jim was a very cool person. I listened to a lot of his recent interviews, and he's just very good family man. More importantly than anything else, I think he was underappreciated as a wrestler.
Absolutely,
tag team wrestler. Jim Neidhart, you'll be missed.
Oh man, and because I know your audience is I think more some. I don't know how old your audience is. That's why I don't want to judge. I don't want to sound like, but like, yeah, right, yeah. Well, but I remember like the Anvil. Like I was a little kid, like, and he was nuts. He was insane. And Dad, he was 63.
Yeah, 60.
That's too young, man. It's too young. It's a shame. It's it is as a father. It struck a chord, with Rousey, that first like line, that Rousey delivered the other night. And, and it's, you just start to think about that when you got a little girl, and I think that's something that any father out there, especially as you start to get older, and your children start to get older, you realize that it's about them, not you. So yeah, that maybe the intro of the Raw might have, choked me up a little bit there. But no, man, it's a shame because Jim Neidhart was just as when the Hart Foundation was really clicking. I mean, he was just as much a part of it as Brett. I know Brett ended up breaking off and he was the single star, but the Hart Foundation would not have been the Hart Foundation without Jim the Anvil Neidhart. The tag teams back then just had this dynamic that there was always, you always had your straight it was almost like comedy where you have a straight comic and your over the top comic. It's you always had like your straight guy and like just just that guy that was just energy personified, like it's just electricity.
Yeah.
And that was the Anvil, man. I mean, that was and I remember a lot of their battles with the Rockers, and that's like back from like my youth and Demolition and and the Twin Towers and the like. And those were the days where I remember really falling in love with tag team wrestling. And I'm glad they're kind of we kind of starting to feel like we're getting back to that again. But I still don't know if we will, I think that we're always going to look at the Hart Foundation, at least I will, in the top 3 always. And they always will hold a special place in my heart. So, I mean, and I think you're right, brother. It's a shame. And it for us as fans, not the shame. It's not a shame, but we've become closer to these personalities and these human beings than we ever have because of Total Divas, Total Bellas, Ms. and Mrs. Like all these shows now and all the behind the scenes stuff they give us. And, so when you see them even more like the person behind the personality, it's sad. And you all you can do is really empathize. And, when I actually, this kind of got overshadowed, and I want to give a shout out to one of my buddies, my buddy Nick, a buddy of mine lost his mother this week. And too young, like way too young. And that's why it kills me when we exponentially waste our time, arguing about booking or this or that, or giving people like Dave Meltzer, exposure because of whatever, when you really look at how short life can be. But yeah, it's a shame, man. I hope Natty comes back soon, because I think that getting in the ring and being around that family will probably will help her, it's just a helpful thing. So I hope Natty comes back soon.
Before we get to like SummerSlam in Brooklyn and NXT and all this crazy nonsense that's going to be going on this weekend out in New York, I just wanted to mention everybody that as we continue going on for the podcast, there's going to be a lot of conversation, especially coming up with more with mental health and talk about some other life issues as well, and kind of spread things around. I want to make sure that that we're not just strict blow by blow with wrestling, and that's what I have my website for. That's where I could just break down matches and this and that. So if there's weeks where we're not breaking down every segment from Raw or SmackDown, just understand it's not a reflection on our thoughts on both shows. It's just that, there's like 9 gazillion wrestling podcasts that are breaking down every segment blow by blow of the shows, and there's not enough time in the day to listen to that type of content, just honestly speaking from my point of view.
Well, what's funny, Josh, is I was we got Sam and I got it with the new car. We got Sirius XM, like this 90-day trial or whatever, and I'm probably going to keep it. There's a George Carlin 24-hour station. I'm absolutely keeping that. But I put on the Comedy Central station. I'm a big fan of Nikki Glaser and like a lot of her comedy, and she used to have a show on Comedy Central. It's called Not Safe, and it was basically just talked like a lot about like sex and just different things, like just taboo stuff that people aren't really supposed to talk about. And her podcast is supposed to be the same, but I put it on the other day, and dude, they were talking about everything but it was still awesome, dude. You know what I mean? Because I still like Nikki Glaser's personality. It's like, I like her as a comedian. I'm not tuning in really because I want to hear sex talk. I like her comedy. I like her personality. So hopefully that's why you guys are listening to us. Otherwise, I don't know why you guys are listening to us, but that's why I think you're going to get a little more variety out of us than just. It's just. I don't know. I can't, at least on my end, because I would never hold Josh back from doing it. I would come in and do the little one-liners here and there. But I couldn't just break these shows down anymore, man. It's just, as a fan, what are we doing by doing that,
Let me ask you this. What did you think about Ambrose's return on Monday?
I liked it. He definitely looks like he got a little bigger, looks meaner. I still love his shirt because it looks like, to me, I'm always going to say that it looks like an A on top of a D because of my initials. So even though it's DA, I'm always going to say it's AD. Yeah. So I'm digging a new shirt too. Great crowd response. I liked how they set it up right before SummerSlam. I think this adds a lot of mystery and intrigue for what could happen in the match on Sunday. I think they played it right, man. We kept guessing, when's he going to come back? I thought it was a great, and I'm sure it was happenstance, but that had to have been a really cool night for him and Renee Young both, and just all things considered, I thought they handled his return as best as, and when I say as best as they could have, I mean, that's exactly how it should have been done. I don't know. I totally dug it. What do you think?
I thought it was cool. I just feel like it's very ironic that Ambrose and Rollins are having this little reunion because you remember last year they had the same thing going on. They're still mad at each other. Rollins was trying to show Ambrose that he changed and this and that, and they finally reunited before they got the tag titles against the Bar at last year's SummerSlam. So here we are again. Ambrose has come back from a shoulder injury, and now he's going to be on Raw's corner on Sunday for the Intercontinental Championship. So, there's a lot of things from a long-term storytelling perspective that a lot of people overlook in ways. Because there's so many shows that we have to watch each week, and there's a lot of content that may go over people's heads. So someone like me, I don't forget that type of stuff. So it's cool. I thought they played off well, like you said. A final show before SummerSlam, they want to get everybody's attention on the show, and I think they did a good job at that on Monday.
Now, Josh, let me ask this. The question I have for you is, do you think that they're going to put Ambrose in – because who took him out? Was it Joe Owens and Sami Zayn?
It was when the Shield were fighting Samoa Joe in the bar.
Samoa Joe in the bar. Okay. I don't know why the hell I said KO and Sami Zayn. Why I thought they were involved. Okay, so they're all on SmackDown now.
Yeah.
So realistically, there's no way, unless right after he got traded or whatever, or which I mean, I guess they could do some sort of trade after SummerSlam. But I guess my question was going to be: do you see them rekindling any of those feuds anytime soon? Or is he going to stay on Raw and maybe have a feud with McIntyre, Ziggler, or even Rollins?
Well, I'm not sure, but I posed this question to you a couple months ago because, everybody's like, oh, it's a foregone conclusion that Ambrose is going to go back to Monday Night Raw when he came back from the injury. And I was like, we went past the superstar shakeup, and Ambrose was never announced that he was going to be on Raw. So, there's a way that you could get to that. I mean, they always make changes after the SummerSlam shows, so I wouldn't be surprised by that. But if we're actually going to go down this rabbit hole and he's going to make the switch to being a bad guy, I can see him sticking around till past WrestleMania. But at the same time, SmackDown is going to start beefing up their content because they're moving to Fox, so I wouldn't be surprised if Ambrose did go back to SmackDown.
He just looks mean right now, man. He just looks to me like a heel. He looks like somebody's about to kick someone's ass, which is exactly how Dean Ambrose should look. You know what I mean? I'm more excited. I'll admit, I thought that once Ambrose came back, it was going to be about a 3-week stint, and then he was going to I was going to grow tired of him if they were going to kind of slide him back into being like prop boy, almost like he was for a while. And that's nothing against him. He was doing everything that the company asked of him, and so it's not a slight on the man playing the character. Everybody out there that's going to get upset about that, I was ready for a new Dean Ambrose because I miss. Not CZW Dean Ambrose like John Moxley. That's not what I miss, But I just know how good he can be dark. And he's I don't know, Josh. To me, right now, he looks like a dude. Pardon the language, but he looks like a motherfucker that's about to whoop some ass. And I just think that I know that the easy answer. We always talk about this, and fans always go to it. Is turn someone heel. Right now, to me, looks like where Dean Ambrose looks like he could be really effective because it looked like he put on a little bit of bulk, the beard, and just the really, really short haircut, man. He looks like a total ass kicker right now. So,
speaking of people that can kick ass, let's give a shout out to Renee Young, who did a good job on Monday.
Awesome job on Monday.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised. I just feel like when you're that talented. And you have passion as a fan, and you've been at this for over 5 or 6 years. When opportunities come to you, it's not that you don't get nerves, but you're ready for that moment, and you got to take advantage of those opportunities. And I thought Renee did a very good job on Monday, and she took advantage of her opportunity.
Yeah, you know what, dude? I'm glad they let her go too, and they kind of let her. It seemed like her and Graves had a nice back and forth going on. If there was the only criticism, because I don't have any criticisms by anybody that was on the announce table. The one thing I noticed is that there was a little bit more dead air than normal. But I didn't mind that necessarily, and I don't mean that as a slight on anybody on commentary, because people know, at least people that listen to this, know that I am actually a fan of both commentary teams. I really like how both teams, and I think Renee Young was a fantastic fill-in for Coach too. I didn't mind that it didn't seem like they were over talking. Like, you could definitely tell there was a little bit more dead air though. But again, it's for Renee Young's first night and everything. Like, to me, she did better than I think that anybody ever could have imagined. And I hope and Josh, how long have we been campaigning for this now? A couple years?
Something right.
Something like that. Like I hope that this sticks, and I hope that they see, the value that they have with her, because I'd love to see her as a permanent, at either Raw or SmackDown. It doesn't matter. I'd like to see her, have a permanent seat at one of the tables.
Lastly, before we get to like some potpourri stuff, what did you feel about the Miz and Daniel Bryan thread they had on SmackDown? I thought that was very cool. I know usually with big forward shows they have like 4 or 5 minute video packages. That's why these shows stretch out, not the length of the show, it's the number of video packages that we get. Mm-hmm. But this could be video package that I'm very much interested to see on Sunday. I thought it was really cool. What did you think about it?
You know what? Out of all the bullet points I had, there was only 2 that were wrestling related, and one was the Meltzer joke about the evolution thing. But the other one was about Miz and Bryan. I thought they were awesome. Awesome. From a theatrical standpoint, they split it into 3. It's a trilogy. We're to 3 for most things. I felt like each one was. If you just kind of let yourself go and let yourself get sucked into it, it was great. I mean, it made me realize how bad I do want to see this match, and it made me remember why I wanted to see this match. I think in the riffraff of all of the contracts, this and it should be at WrestleMania, that and all that, and I'm not going to disagree that I think that this is a WrestleMania match. Absolutely. But I'm not gonna like frown on this now, because it's at SummerSlam. Like we have to start to learn to take what we get, when we can get it. And dude, I think this video package to me paid off in spades.
Absolutely. I want to pose this question to everybody that's listening to the podcast right now. What match are you looking forward to the most on Sunday? I want to get you guys' thoughts on that. We'll save our thoughts about it later on when we make our predictions. But
Josh, I have a question for you too, real quick, before we transition over. As far as the Daniel Bryan Miz situation goes right now, and I guess this will kind of tie into predictions later, so we won't get into too much of the prediction side of it. But I mean, is Bryan leaving the company? Do you think he's leaving the company? Like, I don't know. I don't. Unless I stumble across something accidentally, I don't go out and search the info. So, I don't know where his contract status is, I guess is the best way for me to explain it.
I'm going to go with no for now, because they announced this week that Daniel Bryan's going to have a showcase mode on the video game this year, and they went all the way back to his high school in Aberdeen and did a bunch of interviews, and there's a lot of talk with Daniel Bryan this week. So I don't think Daniel Bryan's going to leave the company. I'm not saying that I'd be utterly shocked or my jaw dropped if he left, but I just don't see it happening. And I know there's a lust out there for people to see him like to run in it all in or do something with New Japan. And while that would be cool or whatever, I feel there's not the closure for the Daniel Bryan character if he wants to leave the WWE now. So,
what would be cool in my opinion? A lot of people knock the fall season because it's the fall season, and WWE fall season. You mean the part of the year where they try new things and
Rumble.
The couple months where they actually try different things and like try to, they're a little looser than when it's really, really, the tight before SummerSlam, before WrestleMania time, in a way, brother, I want my disbelief, or my belief to, suspended on this one. I want them, and this sounds bad when I say it this way, but I want them to send Daniel Bryan away for a while. But what I mean by that, and I know he hasn't wrestled for that long, and he just came back, and because something else this video package made me realize is that it really truly hasn't felt like he ever went away. because every other character, it seems like, has been through some sort of ebb and flow, some growing periods, some downs, some ups. I mean, just every character's kind of evolved somewhat, but I feel like Daniel Bryan is somewhat stagnated. And I think that there could be, I don't know, I could be wrong. Maybe you guys tell me. I'm always wrong, but I just think there could be some value in like having Miz beat him and just almost play it like his contract's up. I think the mistake they made with CM Punk is they had him. They panicked and they pushed him straight into SummerSlam. I say have Miz beat him, push Daniel Bryan out till the Rumble, bring him back at the Rumble. Everybody wants it, right? That's what Josh. That's what everybody wants anyway. Is him to win the Rumble, right? That's what everybody wants. Even if you send him out and have him work a couple indie shows or like just do whatever you can to make it seem like he legit is gone. And then if he comes back, because I was as a huge Daniel Bryan fan myself, I've become very indifferent on what happens with the Daniel Bryan character, and I don't want to feel that way. You know what I mean? And it's not anything Daniel Bryan's doing. It's not anything WWE's doing. Just like last week, Josh, I blame the fans more than I blame anybody else. And I honestly blame, and it's that mindset of he has to be. Nobody has to be. You know, and so for me, I almost think that time apart where, okay, we can figure out a new Daniel Bryan. And then when he comes back, whether they wanted to keep him as the underdog or whether he's more of like a heelish kind of guy. Cause I don't know, to me, doesn't it seem like Miz is more babyface in this than Daniel Bryan is?
Yeah.
Just realistically, it just seems like Daniel Bryan is the whining, antagonist that just isn't getting his way. And, he walked away when he had his chance to knock Miz out. Someone's in your face. Like it just seems like everything's reversed. So I don't know, man. I think that there would be some value. Now, I'm wrong. And Daniel Bryan sells. And, I'm thinking small picture just inside the wrestling bubble, versus big picture. And again, when we were Money in the Bank, dude, like my dad was brought to tears for he was like for one man to be able to have just a crowd in his hand like that was just it was just a thing. Like it was a thing for my dad. I don't know. It was really funny and really weird, but it was just a thing. Yeah. But with that being said though too, I don't know. There's something in my opinion that just isn't connecting right now. And I do think that him being totally off WWE TV, not just as commissioner and not just kind of still there or whatever. I think that absence makes the heart grow fonder, and then you could really go into a WrestleMania program and maybe have the title on Miz by then.
The second video that aired on SmackDown illustrated everything I feel about the whole Daniel Bryan situation as a whole. Yeah. Everything Miz said in there, this brought everything to light of how I feel about the situation. I'm with you. It's not a personal dig at him or how he's being booked. It's just the conversation.
Yes,
it's gone overboard.
It's exhaustive, man.
Yeah, it's very taxing.
Mm-hmm. Well, and like I said, it's
because it paints other wrestlers on the show in a bad light, and I don't think that's cool.
Well, not only that. I mean, you look at guys like Seth Rollins, who in Daniel Bryan, and again, none of this is any slight on Daniel Bryan at all. And Daniel Bryan is doing what's asked of him because he loves what he does. And I want Daniel Bryan around. So please, and I want Daniel. That's why I in a way want him sent away so that again, absence makes the heart grow fonder. But it is, Josh. It's the conversation of in the time that he's been hurt, Seth Rollins has gone through being in the Shield to then turning on the Shield, being the architect, cashing in, you know what I mean? Being Mr. Money in the Bank, cashing in at WrestleMania, having his own injury, coming back babyface, being the Kingslayer, now being Mr. Burn It Down, Monday Night Rollins. Just Seth Rollins alone has had that many character shifts in the time and we're still kind of looking at the same Daniel Bryan. And I guess that's where, for me, who likes character development, who likes characters that change a little bit over time, not everybody has to, but it's, even Roman Reigns has evolved a little bit, whether people people don't want to hear that, but, is he being pushed the same? Well, yeah, but they've been able to find different ways to kind of present Roman Reigns, and I just feel like we've just we keep being, when I talk about being force fed, I feel like we've been force fed the same Daniel Bryan for the past 4 years, and I want something new.
Right. Exactly. Lastly, before we get our potpourri section here, I just wanted to mention that I felt like this whole situation about Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman, it's very interesting, and we mentioned it last week when we aired that interview that Paul Heyman did with Renee Young. Paul Heyman is just one of the greatest storytellers out there in wrestling, and just even to the point of what they did on Monday, where he's talking about the lessons he got from Roman Reigns' father when he was traveling on the road with them. I just thought that was really cool. And then he goes and does an 80s trick. I thought like Skandar Akbar or Lou Albano was out there. Just comes down there, sprays Roman in the eyes with pepper spray and stuff, and Brock just beats the shit out of him. I just feel like the story of what's being told with Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, whether you're indifferent on either guy, that's not why I'm bringing this up. It's just very interesting. The Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman dynamic is something that I enjoy as a wrestling fan, and even as an old school wrestling fan, because of what he was mentioning on Monday.
Oh, listen, he's Heyman's at his best right now, and that's saying something because Heyman is one of the best. I want to know what he said to him in Samoan because like it sounded so vicious, but I wanted so bad to be like, next time the drinks, your tab. I want it to be something real cheesy, like that. Just one of those inside things that unless fans research it. I don't know, man. I'm interested to see where this goes. And you're right. I like, and I know a lot of people were kind of like disinterested with Brock, although I don't know. The crowd response Monday night was a little bit interesting. We're going to have I can't wait to see what direction the crowd goes on Sunday. I guess we'll say that. And I really don't have skin in the game. I'm sitting back and just letting myself be entertained by this, and we'll get to that with predictions and stuff. But dude, they're doing all the right things to sell this or try to present this as best as possible. And I think I think they're doing a good job. I think they're doing a really good job with a lot of these programs. A lot of the campaigns going in the SummerSlam, I thought they handled very well. But what do I know? I'm just a fan.
Some non-wrestling stuff here I wanted to bring up really quick. I'm kind of getting tired of the and I blame myself for digging into this stuff since I'm a big like NFL fan, but the coverage of certain teams on ESPN is absolutely nauseating. I don't know if you guys deal with this. For those who are listening to this right now, it's just like it's a show called NFL Live. Is it the Dallas Cowboys Live? Is it the New England Patriots Live? I know that we have to cater to certain markets and where good teams are good and bad teams. I get the whole spiel. I'm answering my own question, I guess, but like
that's why you go to the NFL Network, Josh, where you have NFL all the time.
NFL Network. We're in the midst of preseason, and we're just about 3 weeks out for week 1. And I'm very excited for football coming back. The Bears have been having a joint practice with the Broncos this week. I know the Raiders beat the Lions last week.
Yeah, man. Hey, we ordered family jerseys, right? So we finally broke down and had a little scratch on the side, and this year decided we're gonna get some new jerseys for the year. And so this is gospel. So I'm battling, man, I don't know who to get. I wanted to get Crabtree, but obviously he left. I wanted to get Mac, but I don't know what's going on with him. So I wanted to get Jordy Nelson, but I don't know how long he's going to be there. So I ended up getting a Carl Joseph, just because I think he's going to do good things. And he's been solid the past couple of years, and WVU guy. So kind of right in the backyard there. So it's appreciate the number 42. Respect, for a lot of respect for Jackie Robinson. Different sport, but you always think of him when you think that number. So there's a lot of reasons why I just thought it was a great jersey to pick up. So I'm thinking I'm thinking all right, my wife's probably going to get somebody, probably Marshawn Lynch because she likes like lunatics. My daughter will probably get Derek Carr because she likes him a lot. So I'm like, yeah, let's get new jerseys for this season, right? And so I'm buying it for buying it for the whole family, buying it for my dad, my wife, and my kid. My daughter's like, yeah, I want a Bo Jackson jersey. My wife gets a Sebastian Janikowski jersey, and my dad goes with a Lal Alzado jersey. And if you don't know who Lal Alzado is, you definitely are too young to be listening to this podcast. But so I'm sitting here thinking so I'm the only one getting a current player. I'm the only one not getting a throwback or a vintage or however we're calling these things. And they're like, yeah, basically, So here I am. So thanks. I guess that's where we're at with and I'd like to know that my daughter's first football jersey is the jersey that I never got when I was a kid. So whenever they always say, listen, you do for your children. As a little kid, I never had that Bo Jackson jersey, and I loved Bo Jackson, and I never had it, never got it, that's not a slight on anybody. I'm not, but it's funny. It just was wild to me that my daughter was out of all the Raiders she could have picked, that I didn't think she picked Bo Jackson, but so it was a little cool dad moment for me.
You're not going to burn it down with Seth Roberts?
No. I was going to get her one custom, maybe for her birthday, because that's the Steelers and Raiders play on her birthday this year, and it's a Sunday night game. So that's going to be big time stuff. So maybe we'll see how the year is going. Definitely not getting a Martavis Bryant jersey, because that dude won't be seeing the field.
I was going to say. I have a throwback Bo Jackson White Sox jersey.
Yeah,
from the 90s.
Dude, I loved Bo.
Yeah,
I cried when he got hurt. I have, and I don't know. It's in my mother's collection of trivial junk now, which is and then if you're an old Italian family, Italians out there know everyone that comes from an Italian family, whether it's one side or another or there's always one person in your family that claims that they're 100% Italian. That's basically no other. I'm not saying that she's not. She's very, very close to it. I mean, she's very, 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 very Italian. But Italians know that you always have just a stockpile of stuff that you think is a treasure, but it's really just junk, so please don't think I'm talking negatively about anyone. It's just an Italian thing, whatever. But yeah, I still got the Raider game where his hip got pulled out of the socket on a VHS tape somewhere, man, and it's in somewhere. I don't know. It's in the house I grew up in somewhere. But I actually wish I kind of would have that. Although I don't want to go back on that. I cried that day. Why would I want to watch that again on some old grainy VHS tape? Why would I want to do that, Josh? Tell me.
I don't know. You said you saw the Black Klansman movie?
Yeah, man. Sam and I went out and saw Black Klansman last Saturday. Listen, I think for anybody out there that is a Spike Lee fan, absolutely go see it. It's not, not a question. I mean, it is based on true events, so I don't necessarily want to I'm not a big spoiler guy. I'm more of a go see it type of guy. But it is based on true events. I mean, but long story short, though, it was a movie that I feel was, if you can kind of put your own agenda aside for a second, or your own thought process, and kind of let the story be told. It's there's the message is absolutely there, and it's people are they're going to misconvey the message as much as they want, and because people don't like to pay attention to a full story, and people don't like to be challenged with movies anymore. We just want, and I'm not knocking, but we just want stuff that blows up, and we want superheroes and stuff. We don't want movies that make us think and make it like this anymore. But the one thing about this movie that I personally appreciated was its grittiness of not holding back. I am not really good with racial slurs, and I mean they get to me, a lot of them get to me, but there's really only one that's really used as much in society anymore, because people just can't give it up. But there's a lot of them I don't like. I don't like I don't want to spout off all the Italian ones that there are, but people just don't use them. But in this movie, I mean, you got to hear it. It's because it's not only is it a movie of the times, but you're dealing with the Klan. And this movie does talk about, listen, there's racism on all sides, and that's what kills me is like you listen to all these, especially like all these dudes, and it's like, oh well, I'm being called a racist. There ain't one of my black friends that don't know that they're like racism goes both ways. You know what I mean? It's only white people that don't think that they're, it just seems to me that white people are ones that think that it's this new thing that, oh my God, there's actually racist black people. Like, yeah, like black people have never denied that there aren't, it's generational. They understand it. Oh, they're asking, but there's a bigger message than race on this though too. And it's all about just a community coming together and just people in general coming together and people and the police need to come together, and we need to stop fighting not only ourselves, but we need to stop fighting the police. We need to stop fighting. This is just crazy. Because the more that we're all fighting, the more that we are fighting with the police, the more that we're fighting racially, the more that we're fighting ethnically, groups like the Ku Klux Klan are becoming stronger and stronger. And it's no different now than it was during civil rights, than it was during Jim Crow, than it was during, every time there's a fracture in the society, that way of thinking becomes stronger, and that's what we've lost focus of. And I guess that's the message. But go see the movie. It's hysterical. It's well done. Jordan Peele was a part of it too. When it comes to, I think, production on it. Great cast. And if you guys know the way Spike Lee directs, I mean, there's great visualizations too. Spike is a hell of a director. And I just, I'm not saying you have to like him as a person or like his thoughts or whatever, but this is one that I feel like, there was a really great message behind it. And it was, I don't know, it was a nice, it was a good piece to just kind of go out. And it was uncomfortable to be in a movie theater. And like I said, it was uncomfortable to watch anyway, Josh, but being in a movie theater where it's absolutely extremely diverse, like you could feel a tension in the theater. Yeah. Because I appreciate that, man, because it challenges the viewer to think bigger than themselves, I thought it was a great movie. So anybody out there that's into really good movies and don't just want to go watch something blow up or whatever. Although I shouldn't say that because there is an explosion in this movie, but it's a great movie. It really is. I think it's one of Spike Lee's best.
I saw the Spike Lee Chirac movie a couple years ago, and I know a lot of people will go out of their way to trash the movie without giving it a chance. And I thought the story that he was telling about the movie was an interesting take, because it wasn't only just painting a picture of Chicago, but just violence in general. And believe it or not, a lot of the violence, gun violence, stems from social media. Depending where you are in your country, not your country, but just in general, where you're living in the States, and, somebody could be cheating on somebody, and that person finds out, then they bring out a gun and shoot somebody. Maybe that may sound silly to other people, but it actually happens. You'd be surprised by the percentage of deaths that stem from social media or people just making the wrong assumption of somebody.
And it's almost becoming, and like I said earlier, not giving breath to, not giving any air to certain aspects. Anytime there's a shooting, in the mass coverage and stuff like that, or like this dude the other day, and what I mean by things going viral, and that's how people, we're seeing all this stuff now, and it's like when people are ready to go, and listen, and I'm not. We're allowing people to martyr themselves. Like this past week, did you see the tape or hear the tape of that dude that stole the plane in Seattle and went on a joyride? You didn't see that at all?
I saw it.
Oh, you did see it? Okay. Did you hear the audio that went along with it?
Yeah.
How wild is that, man? Like, can you imagine just sitting there? And I mean, this dude was just like laughing, like, nah, you think if I land this thing, they'll hire me? They'll give me a job as a pilot? Nah, I'm just a white guy. Like, holy hell, dude. Like, and I know not a lot. I mean, I know that's just like one line, but that, to me, that jumps out. Yeah. Because, there's a thing in this country now where there's white anxiety, and I don't understand this. I've never understood this. I didn't understand it in the 90s when it was going on, and you would hear people talking about all the horrible things that they would say. Like my mother used to tell me, like, you know, I would just, it would break my heart if you would bring a black girl home. Like, what? Are you kidding me? And it's not like, and listen, this is, you know, it's not like this was that long ago. Maybe it was that long ago because I'm a fucking old man now. But anyway, the point is that it's, I don't know, man. It's everybody right now. We're the more we give breath to hate, the more the easier, and not only that, lunacy. You know what I mean? I think it's just people are being driven to mad standards, and yeah, absolutely. And social media is part of that. Social media. That's why I jumped off most social media platforms, and the social media that I'm on, I have like 4 people on each. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Last thing I wanted to mention really quick, as we're going to go back to wrestling here.
As we do a couple barrel rolls back into wrestling, as we're like we hijacked the plane.
Oh, God. I was looking at Dolph Ziggler's fashion, what he was rocking on Monday, and I was like, I wonder what would Silky Johnson think about his outfit. And I just brought up this line, man, what has been said about that suit that hasn't been said at Malibu's Most Wanted or or the movie Road Trip?
I don't know who has better hair, Cat Williams or Dolph Ziggler right now. That one's a toss-up. That one's definitely a toss-up. And then, dude, real quick before we bounce, before we get to our predictions, I totally didn't get this in last week because I didn't realize it's after the fact. But last week was 10 years, also a 10-year anniversary because we were doing anniversaries last week with like Jericho's, you know, debut and all this other stuff. But last week was the anniversary, 10 years that we lost Bernie Mac. And we always talk about losing entertainers and people that we felt like close to us, even though we never knew them and stuff like that. I mean, I talk about stand-up comedy on here a lot, guys, because I'm a big stand-up comedy fan and I always have been, and that's just why I'm a smartass, to be honest. And I was raised on Pryor and Eddie Murphy and Andrew Dice Clay and George Carlin and Bill Hicks and I mean, you name it. And you know, and Bernie Mac was a big one for me. You know, even though he was, you could argue that he was more well known for his show than he was his stand-up, but I mean, his stand-up was around. Like, the first thing I ever heard of Bernie Mac was, "I ain't scared of you motherfuckers," and it's like, oh my god, I'm just like this little kid thinking this dude with these bug ass eyes is like screaming at me like I don't know what to do right now. But when back in 2008, George Carlin and Bernie Mac, they passed within like 6 weeks of one another, and that was like my two like top dudes. And to lose both of them in like 6 weeks for somebody that's like that, you know, that would be like, and I would, you know, think like last year when losing Chris Cornell and Chester Bennington. It was very, you know, carbon copy. It was hard losing two greats in the same year that close together like that. And that's something that a lot of times we do, you know, forget about. And a lot of people should be, if you're a fan of comedy, put your bullshit aside. There's a documentary going on called The History of Comedy. Yes, it airs on CNN. I know I'm a worthless cuck, but, listen, it's fantastic. There's a lot of great comedians from liberal to conservative that contribute to this. And they do a really good job going back and looking at, you know, old comedians, stuff like that. And they talked about Gone Too Soon, and they were kind of hitting upon Carlin, Bernie Mac, a whole bunch of people that you know, we lost. Because even though Carlin was 80, brother, it just seemed like he was still like a 30-year-old dude, you know?
Right.
Sometimes the mind doesn't age, my man. Sometimes, but that was, you know, but I know Bernie Mac's a Chicago dude. Dude, you were a Chicago dude. I want to give your city some love. I want to give Bernie Mac some love because, you know, Bernie Mac gave me a lot of laughs. And yeah, it was just a weird, like a decade ago. So that's 10 years ago, man. I was having a rough summer. 2008 was a rough year for me, but
it all got better the next year, my man.
Like immediately the next year, like January of the next year. But you'll have to talk to Sam about that
one. Yeah, Bernie Mac has always been a guy I look up to over the years, especially him being from the city of Chicago. And there's the interview that I want you guys to check out that he did with Oprah Winfrey. I forgot what year it was, but especially for people that should have the proper motivation for things, Bernie Mac had one of the best quotes. I can't rattle it off the top of my head right now, but if you wanted some good source of motivation, check out his interview with Oprah Winfrey because it was very, very moving for me.
And you know what? Comedy Central had a special that they aired years ago, and I'm sure that they still have it in their library, or you can find it somewhere. And it was called "I Ain't Scared of You" blank, and it was like the Bernie Mac story or something like that. And it was just a lot of comedians just talking about Bernie and just kind of just kind of pouring their hearts out about what he meant to them, and just the influences that he had on them. And the one thing that I pulled out of it, because this is how I worked, not road hours like wrestlers do, but I have a lot of road hours on my body, man. And just working like sometimes an hour and a half from home, just trying to get working long days, just doing whatever the fuck I need to do to to the point where I just totally wore myself down. The one thing I appreciate about Bernie is, like, they talk about it on there. When he was filming the Bernie Mac show, he'd fly out to LA and then fly home, like fly back to Chicago, like damn near every night. And he'd be like, you can get two places. Like, and he'd be like, no, young, I got to get home to my family. And that, to me, that's a man. To me, a man isn't somebody that's on Twitter talking about how a girl looks or does not look, or who's retweeting or tweeting like sexy photos of this chick or that chick, or porn or this or say. What a man is, to me, a man is, I got to get my shit done. I got to get my shit done not only to provide for my family, but so I can get my ass home to my family. Bernie Mac was a man. And, we always talk about men on here, and like how there's, how everyone always says there's no men left. Well, we had men right on our faces, and you guys took them for granted. Like we always say, like Chris Long right now, man. You know what I mean? Bernie Mac, man.
The Biz,
man.
What was it? We call this a sin.
Yo, Bernie was the trip. When Bernie told a story about his daycare, drop your kids off with me. That's one of the funniest jokes. Like his Kings of Comedy set might be the most flawless stand-up set. Yeah. I mean, it's just joke on joke on joke. I mean, there isn't a dull moment there, and he leads you along this journey the entire way. It's just, I don't know. I don't know. It's just that was so soon, so sudden, but.
I still won't forget Mr. 3000. That's still one of my favorite movies. I think that came out when I was like 8 or 9, somewhere around that time. Yeah, it was like 03 or 04, but Mr. 3000 is still one of my favorite movies.
See, I love them in movie-wise. I love them in Head of State. I don't know if anybody's ever seen. That's where Chris Rock runs for president. He ends up being a vice president. And Chris Rock even talked about it on that special I just mentioned, Comedy Central ran. He said, listen, when we made that movie, I knew he was the star. Like, he was like, I know I was the lead, but he was really the star. And you're not going to get that from too many people. Chris Rock is a guy that doesn't have to give anybody the spotlight. And that's a man that will always take a backseat to somebody like Bernie Mac, So, and that says a lot about Bernie Mac, and it says a lot about Chris Rock too.
Coming up on Saturday night is NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4. There'll be a 5th next year. I mean, goddamn, the East Coast. Get those big 4 shows, man. Get it in as you can.
All the time, I guess.
WrestleMania weekend. I'm still undecided if I want to go to New York or not. If I do, I would like to check out the Ring of Honor New Japan Garden show, because that's a really big deal. Hoodie asked me the other night if I was surprised by them selling out the show. I'm not. We talk about this all the time. The business is in a very good state right now. For whether you're a sports entertainment fan or a professional wrestling fan, this is a good time to be a wrestling fan. And, seeing these other promotions get into these bigger venues now, it's cool. And nobody can take away whatever they want for the business. Oh, WWE ratings are down. Look at their stock price and ask yourself if they really give a shit about ratings.
It's the ratings argument, man, is just like, that's why to me the social media ratings in a way I think are starting to become more valuable, and I hate saying that, because I hate that social media is such a thing, but listen, man, this is one thing that like I've never really like worked into the show, but I always wanted to tell people, like, everyone always bitches and moans and complains about everybody's positioning on the roster and who's doing what and whatever. It's this simple then. Like, right, I'm glad you brought up social media. then start talking about people on social media in a positive way. When you talk about them in a negative way, all you're doing, number one, is giving the other person ratings, not the person you want to give ratings. Number two, you're making it seem like it's petulant. You're not making a good case out of it. On the flip side of it, the reason why people like Roman Reigns, Alexa Bliss, they're getting the opportunities that other superstars aren't is they're selling merchandise. So quit bitching and start spending money. These companies want to see you spend money. They want you to speak with your wallet. And unfortunately, I know people don't like the kids theory about how, well, it's because kids buy the t-shirts. You're right. You're absolutely right. Because the parents are the one to buy it, and then I know as listen, and that's why I say, as I'm growing older, as an older wrestling fan that now is watching my daughter become a wrestling fan, and my wife and I get to go to these things. I'm not saying I left like the fan side of me out. I left the mark out of me now. You know what I mean, Josh? Like it's like I'm done kind of trying to be like, oh, we're right. Us internet people are right when we're not. We're not. Like, if we were right, but now here's the thing: if you want to be right, spend money. Yeah. Buy their merchandise. Buy their shows.
Here's a funny thing, bro. People are going to spend a lot of money this weekend in Brooklyn, and they're going to both NXT and SummerSlam. But the same people that are attending TakeOver on Saturday are going to go on Twitter before they go to bed and be like, good luck, SummerSlam. Well, who's the person that spent $250 on a lower level seat at SummerSlam the next night?
Well, but it's not even that. Like, it's great that they're spending money because they're spending money on WWE, and that's great because it's money that's going towards WWE.
I'm not going to waste money on something that I don't enjoy. So
right.
What's the point talking about it?
Well, no, I agree with that too. But for how much, like, everybody talks, and you're right, brother. Like, listen, you can afford tickets to NXT, you could afford tickets to SummerSlam the next night, but you rather than spend $30 on a t-shirt to support your favorite wrestler, you'll just go on and put a 5-tweet fucking rant about why Roman Reigns shouldn't have been the main event. Something doesn't seem to make sense there to me. Because again, you're giving Roman Reigns attention, which means you're giving Roman Reigns ratings, which WWE says, oh, hell, Roman Reigns is drawing emotion. And ultimately that's what it is. So either spend money or keep your mouth shut. You know what I mean? That's what I'm slowly realizing now. Is it's when you really look at it. I mean, because you can't go to an event where you look at the crowd. There's Alexa Bliss shirts all over the place, and that has a lot to do with why she is positioned the way that she is right now.
And again, I'm not going to paint NXT in a bad light because I enjoy their shows. I cover each week.
Absolutely,
it's not my stance on their show. While I'm not a super mark for their show, like I feel like my favorite show that's not Raw or SmackDown related is Lucha Underground, but I'm not going to shove Lucha Underground down your throat. Well,
plus
people don't have all that time in the week to watch every show every single week. But
yeah, it becomes a lot.
You don't need a constant battle of, this is better. Oh, watch out, Vince. You better be scared. Dude, it's fucking wrestling. It's 2018. You're only hurting yourself by going these fucking soliloquies about stuff that you don't like. Mm-hmm. If you can't realize that you are able to make your own decisions of what entertainment you want to watch, that's not on the WWE. It's on you.
Well, again, it goes back to WWE is a little bit different. Like, and when I listen to your broadcast with a Hoodie, and by the way, Hoodie, good job, brother. I appreciate you having the good brother Josh on. I listen to you, Josh. You did excellent on there. Congratulations on the appearance there on ESPN 1000. I'm proud of you, brother. But I listened to Silas Young beforehand, and you know what I really liked what Silas said was, take WWE. If you don't like what WWE is doing, the professional wrestling is Ring of Honor, is New Japan Pro, he's right, because what do we say all the time, Josh? WWE is your variety show. Last week I tried using the comedy troupe or trope, whatever people want to fucking call it. I always try to use that, whether it's Groundlings or Second City or whatever. You take the best of the best and they end up on Saturday Night Live. They can't necessarily what they did at Groundlings or Second City, but sometimes they can, sometimes they can't. They just have to present it differently. It's exactly what happens with WWE. Vince is just a wrestling version of Lorne Michaels. That's it. And Silas absolutely was right. The old school professional wrestling fans that don't like WWE's sports entertainment presentation, yes, Ring of Honor is for you. Yeah, NXT has more of a pro wrestling vibe. So I get it, but there shouldn't be this constant, like, we have to understand what WWE is not. Like, if you're constantly comparing WWE to something else, you're doing, whether it be Ring of Honor or NXT or whatever, you're doing both entities a disservice because you're taking one that doesn't have the production value or money or what have you, you know what I mean, to try and compare to a WWE production. You'll never do it, because when you look at both products, you know, percentage-wise, we're as humans, Josh, you know this, we like shiny things. The shiny thing is always what's attractive. We would head more towards the production value of WWE over the indies. But when you actually saw the match, maybe we would go towards the, you know what I mean? It's supposed to be that it's everything is good and we like it all and not bash one just because it's a little bit different. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it's funny, though, for how much everybody wants to knock WWE. And this just goes back to the wrestling fan, Josh, and where I don't like the NXT versus WWE comparisons. It's just like when people want to compare WWE and New Japan, two totally different entities, yet they want to fucking trash WWE and talk about how it's garbage. Yet New Japan has 0 women wrestlers. Not saying you have to have that, but there's a lot of guys out there that's their crutches. Well, WWE, I mean, it's you look how great they are to doing this for women, and I'm one of them. You know, I'm not saying that I'm not, and they are, and I'm glad that they are. But you never hear those same people criticize New Japan Pro for not having a women's division either, or saying, well, you know, they try to. Everyone always tries to have their cake and eat it too, Josh, and I think that kind of ties in with the NXT compare, you know, and just people just not getting what they quote unquote want, you know.
And a lot of sports talk radio people do that too, where you'll have this grandiose stance, but at the same time you'll say something else, just so you have a back out when people call you out on an opinion. That's something.
Correct, right?
I just want to know what's your actual stance. Don't beat around the bush. Is just my point of view.
Well, because I'm the type of guy that I like to listen to people that I agree and disagree with. It makes it a more fun listen for me. You know what I mean? Because it makes it feel like it's a more human interaction. I never want to feel like I'm agreeing with someone 100% at a time, because that's like Orwellian 1984ism that we're headed towards anyway. You know, I don't have that thought process that I have. You know, that somebody controls my way of thinking all the time. That's why I don't know, but I think, again, it goes back to bring this full circle like we typically do. People like, you know, there's happiness in slavery, man. People like to be told what to do. It takes that off of them. So
we got 18 matches to predict. I'm gonna be freaking
8?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
Let's breeze through these. If you want to add anything extra to your excitement or not excitement, we could go through there. But let's start off with NXT. Started off EC3 against Velveteen Dream. I'm very excited for this match. Both these guys have been cutting some good promos on each other recently on the programming. It's going to be a little different style of match. You know, people feel like, oh, EC3 is not a great worker ever. I don't know what you're watching. That guy's very, very talented. Regardless, I'm looking forward to this match, but I'm going to go with the Velveteen Dream in this one.
With, you know what, because I'm behind on NXT. I haven't kept up with it, and this is one match because I have a lot of respect for both of these guys. I don't want to pick. I know everyone's out there. Oh, you can't pick. You're right. I don't want to pick because I typically pick off the stories, not off of who I like. And because I don't know what the storyline's going off of this one, and I have too much respect for both of these guys. I'm gonna not pick a winner. I know it's controversial. It's a hot take. Someone didn't pick a winner, Josh.
What's wrong with you?
Oh no!
Oh God! All right, next one we got. This one should be a lot of fun for an in-ring point of view. We got Undisputed Era's Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly against Tyler Bate and Trent Seven, a.k.a. Mustache Mountain. These guys have been having some killer matches, especially the one they had in the United Kingdom tournament special a couple months ago. I'm very excited for this match. I'm going with the Undisputed Era for this match.
I think Supercard just made it a big deal that they put Trent Seven on the game for the first time. I don't know why that's a big deal. But so you know what, I'm going to go with Undisputed Era too. Like what they're doing right now. I just wish they had different theme song.
Yeah, me too.
It's all, and I know it's so petty of me too. And at least I'll admit my pettiness, guys.
Yeah, by the way, your boy Tucker Knight and Dosevich are not on this show on Saturday.
See, and I was actually kind of looking forward to seeing them dudes wrestle. Man, oh well, such is life.
Yeah, the random gems you get on Supercard. All right, Adam Cole against Ricochet. This one's going to be a lot of fun. For the NXT North American Championship, I'm going with Adam Cole, baby.
Yeah, ditto on that one. I'm gonna stick with Adam Cole on this one. I'd be remiss if I can't start to turn heel on my boy right now. So Adam Cole all the way. Just please, and I don't know why I don't like. And maybe you know what, Josh, real quick, and this is just quick. I think it's because I love this faction so much, and I love the potential, and I love where they could really go with it. That I want just a better theme, just a little bit better. And I know it's petty. Maybe it'll grow on me. Maybe I just got to give it time. But it's kind of like listening to Nickelback over and over, and it's just not working.
The one positive thing I take away from their entrances is Kyle O'Reilly doing the air guitar stuff.
They're so great. It's so great.
How about this one? Kairi Sane against Shayna Baszler for the NXT Women's Championship. Rematch of the finals of the inaugural Mania Classic.
Still going with Baszler on this one.
Yeah, me too. They're going all the way to make sure she's the most dominant woman besides Charlotte in NXT.
Mm-hmm.
And finally...
And Baszler was in the Four Horsemen, correct?
No.
She was not, okay.
Oh, which one? MMA or WWE?
And the MMA.
Yeah, she is.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
Lastly, certainly not least, Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, again. Last man standing match.
What is this, the Twilight Zone?
The Twilight Zone, that's awesome. How about this, man? Another Ciampa Gargano match. Is this the final installment for now? Is this going to get to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn territory? I don't know. What's your thoughts on this?
Fight forever. I don't care. Give me more. I want more. I want it all. Just give it all. Give us all every month. Can we just have a special every month where these two just have a match and then that's the whole show. You know what, brother? Here's where I'm at, and this is where I think that we show ourselves as hypocrites. If this were on Raw or SmackDown, people would be complaining that it's taking too long and it's this back and forth and it's blah, blah, blah. But because it's on NXT, people love it. Listen, regardless, people should love this. This has been an amazing ride with these guys. I think it should, again, I don't think it ever needed the title. I'm glad it does have the title involved now. I'm going to stay with Ciampa, though.
I'll go with Ciampa, too, and believe it or not, this may shock some people. I think this is Gargano's last NXT show.
I could see that.
Yep. Johnny Wrestling is going up. I don't know about up, down, but he's going up.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd probably end up on up, down, down. You think he'd end up on 205 Live?
No.
No?
No. But speaking of 205 Live, man, I like Leo Rush as a wrestler, but man, that boy got a turtle voice.
Who's that?
Leo Rush.
I've never even seen Leo Rush wrestle. I haven't watched 205
I'm
Live.
actually older than Leo Rush, which makes me feel weird.
That means I'm probably old enough to be Leo Rush's father. Leo, I am your father. No, I shouldn't say that. Only everyone, I think.
Oh shit! Well, that's Takeover Brooklyn 4 coming up on Saturday on the WWE Network. Should be a good show. Especially the Brooklyn takeovers are really something that you can't miss. It's good stuff. So.
And that's why, yeah, brother. And that's why I never knock NXT at all. And I know, listen, I know you don't either. And that's why I want people to understand that I'm not speaking for you. I know you, and I know that you're not trashing. You're never trashing NXT because NXT they'll have a hell of a takeover on Saturday night. It's already well known in the Daley household. It's a wrestling weekend. I'm doing home improvements and wrestling shows all weekend. Yeah, old man shit, ladies and gentlemen. We'll keep tacking on them years. Yeah, so there's that.
While Sunday is not a G1, it's going to feel like a G1 for my typing fingers. We got SummerSlam, ladies and gentlemen, starting off at 5 p.m. Eastern time on the kickoff show. That's correct, 5 p.m. Eastern, all the way to 7 o'clock Eastern. Yes.
He's barbecuing at the Daley house. Woo, boy.
Yep. Strap in your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a long night, but we have a lot of matches that should be a lot of fun, too. Even on the kickoff show, let's scatter through some of these matches.
Hold up, real quick. I don't mean to interrupt, Josh, but like, listen, this is a podcast. People know us by now. They know that sometimes we just. And I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's a fucking spider next to me, dude. That is so big, and I'm like trying not to freak out because I have arachnophobia really fucking bad. I'm gonna mute my mic for a second. You take over. I need to kill this thing before I got cholesterol and shit, man. I can't.
I don't
blood pressure and shit. Like, I don't want, like, someone's going to mute this shit and then go ahead. You take it. I'll be right back.
Delete. As the conference is deleting the spider in his house, I'm going to start off with the cruiserweight division, shall we? Since we were talking about 205 Live a couple minutes ago. Cedric Alexander putting his cruiserweight title on the line against Drew Gulak. Very excited for this match. I think it's still cool. While they have taken 205 Live out of Raw, they still find a way to get some cruiserweight showcase on the Big Four show. So I think that's very cool. If you've been missing 205 Live, you're missing it a lot. There's been a lot of good in-ring content for the Purple brand out there these days. Cedric Alexander against Philly's own Drew Gulak. This is going to be a good match. It's very interesting because Cedric Alexander became a champion at WrestleMania. That was the ending of that tournament match he had with Mustafa Ali, which was awesome. And now he's fighting Drew Gulak, which should be a different style match, but just as good as well. They're going to get time. This is going to be a 2-hour kickoff show. So I'm going to go with Cedric Alexander to retain, but I would not be surprised if Drew Gulak wins either. But I'm looking forward to this match.
Well, in honor of your boy Jim Tomey, because I just clobbered this spider with a roll of paper towels like I was Jim Tomey. So in honor of Jim Tomey and Major League Baseball, I'm going to go with Drew Gulak because Gulak seems like the type of milquetoast white dude that still watches baseball. That's the only reason why I'm going with Drew Gulak. I haven't watched 205 Live like I haven't, so I'm not going to try and pretend. I just kind of want to slide a joke in there. I do like Drew Gulak though. I like his whole campaign with like the for a better 205 Live. I love it. Like, what I did get to see of him, I like. I'm a fan of Cedric Alexander's work too. So for me, it's cool either way it goes. But I wouldn't mind seeing the title change over because I think Gulak, he is good on the mic. I mean, I obviously made the joke there because let's face it, they present him as the whitest of white men. So we gotta take a shot there. He's the exact opposite spectrum. Like there was the Nation of Domination, and then you want to go complete opposite spectrum. It's like Drew Gulak and like Jack Gallagher. Anyway, Brock's just Thanos. He's his own thing. But I think Gulak would be able to would make a good champion. I think he'd be entertaining as a champion too. So,
speaking of entertainment, how about this one? Lana Day and Rusev Day against Almas and Selena Vega.
Yeah, man. I just think it's a little. I almost had a stutter there. Like I sounded like I'll say it. I don't know what happened. I look at it this way, man. I just think it's a little too soon for Almas to lose, I guess. So I think that maybe Rusev kind of does the favor here. I don't.
What about the mixed tag match? Do you like that?
Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it. I think that the way they built it up especially on SmackDown on Tuesday, but how they've slowly been kind of leaning towards this over the past couple weeks, I thought they did a really good job. And I thought was this Rusev's first like babyface promo that he ever cut, by the way?
Maybe.
Other than like kind of him being just, you didn't really know what he was doing, just kind of goofy Rusev for a while. I think this was his first like true, like where he's babyface maybe.
B Team against Revival for the Raw Tag Team titles. I got the Revival.
I probably have the Revival too. I don't. Listen, I'll say this. I think it's if they change the B team's music to this stupid like Spirit Squad 2.0 just to take the titles off of them, it's going to be pretty unfortunate. But I think that the Revival. It's time. It's time to pull the trigger on the Revival and kind of give them, let them run with it for a little bit. But again, though, Josh, we always look at it sometimes too soon too. Maybe they can extend this out a little further if B team gets disqualified or they can get a cheap win. There's there might be a way they can extend this. So, but I'm probably going to go Revival.
Yeah.
I'm digging the Revival, man.
Mm-hmm. The Revival. All right, let's go to the big show here. We're not fucking.
Right. Like he's coming back.
Is that a dirt sheet report?
No, right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go real quick here. New Day and Bludgeon Brothers. I actually got the New Day.
Really? I'm going Bludgeon Brothers. Wow, so you really have New Day.
Yeah, and it's not a dig on the Bludgeon Brothers because I've actually been one of the few that actually enjoyed their work.
Same here.
Character flaws or whatever that's subjected to other people's opinions. I actually like what they've been doing match wise, and I always get a kick out of Corey Graves' commentary during the matches as well. We mentioned last week with the Roman Reigns starter kit and
right.
Taz rip off this week. He was talking about the 3 count.
Yo, he said my favorite thing. He said, why does Alicia Fox look like, why is she dressed like Kale? I lost it, dude. I fell out, man.
Oh, man. Graves never gets old, man. It's tremendous. I got the New Day. But this could be a good match. I'm very excited for it. I know some people looked at the tag match at WrestleMania as a filler to get through some other stuff on the show, but both teams have been doing some good stuff, and the New Day have been putting in that work recently in the ring, so it should be a good one. And I think they probably start off the show with this match too.
Yeah, and I guess either way they go. I mean, they could, if New Day takes the titles, eventually they could go off and have a campaign with Sanity. I guess there's your 3-on-3. Kind of still have the old Freebird rule intact with that. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm starting to want. Not that I want the New Day to split, and that's not what I want. I want to see them succeed as single stars now.
And it's going to be interesting to see what they do with the New Day during the fall. I'll see that.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know. Biggie's never had a singles match at WrestleMania before. Biggie, the only thing not tag team related that he did was the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Think about that.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Every match, Biggie's been a tag team besides that one. Anyways, let's move on. We'll talk about Carmella, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte. This is one of the matches I'm looking forward to personally the most on the show. This is going to be very interesting for storytelling purposes because this could go a lot of ways. I'm going with Becky Lynch. I'm going with my heart here to feel like this is her moment. But at the same time, this is part of me saying, oh, yeah, Carmella's going to win, and that's going to happen. But I'm going with my heart as a fan here. I'm going with Becky Lynch.
Yeah, I mean, I think Occam's razor is telling me that Carmella wins. That's the most simplistic, that's the most obvious of storytelling avenues to go with this one. That's the safest route too. Yeah. Especially if they want to do other things for Evolution. That's one thing I keep thinking about is like, how they're pairing these women up into tag teams and how maybe the horsewomen and just so many. What are they really going to do with Evolution? How does that tie in? So. But I think Carmella retains.
By the way, if you got anybody wants the Yacht Club clip this week, go listen to Triple H's press conference where you had the guy from Germany saying, "Oh, the main roster is burning the midnight oil." Good God, that was brutal. Brutal. Go check out that clip if you guys want to check it out. Anyways, you're talking to Triple H and you want to go on a fucking soliloquy about what shows you like more. Come on.
That's crazy. Like, you guys are one shot. You know what I mean? Like, you have your one shot to actually present. You look to sound presentable, to actually not sound like an idiot or a smark, and you sound exactly like the person he always rips on in the middle of the ring. Like, you know.
I'm gonna go on Twitter and tweet my displeasure.
Oh my god.
Let's see what else. Oh, Finn Balor against Constable Corbin. Let me just say this. I love the dynamic with him and Kurt Angle, man. It cracks me.
Oh, it's awesome. Awesome. There's a lot going on Raw right now that I really like, especially, you know, surrounding Baron Corbin. Like, he's shown a lot of really good chemistry, even with Reigns, with Angle, with Balor. It's been really entertaining this whole way through. Who you got in this match, brother?
I'm going with Balor in this one.
I'm actually going with Baron Corbin. And I got yelled at by my wife for calling him Constable Corbin because I referred to the Constable as Constable Corbin. And I got yelled at, and she said, "It's Baron Corbin." And I was like, "It's Constable Corbin." And she said, and I'm not saying this, and I hate that I am the messenger for this because I'll take heat for it. Okay. But she said she can't take him serious because he looks like Big Baby on Daniel Tosh, like when Tosh does Big Baby. And I feel bad because like I finally had her where she was like almost in on the character. I thought she was like that close to kind of buying in, and she was like, "Oh, I just can't." I'm like, "No, please. You're the only one in this house that isn't down with Corbin right now, please." So, but actually, I think Corbin.
You know, it's a good one. You gotta say like how JoJo says it. Stephanie McMahon's personally selected Constable of Monday Night Raw.
I mean, out of respect, you know?
Yeah. all the way out, man. Oh, man, that's funny. That should be an interesting match, too. It's gonna be, Finn Balor is one of those characters to see where that guy's going to go heading into WrestleMania season. I don't know where that guy is going right now. Let's see. It could be something where Corbin trades Balor to SmackDown if he wins.
Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities and things they could do. That's why I'm really looking forward to this event and the fallout after. And I like how they've positioned certain characters and personalities on the roster right now. You know, I feel like there is something big coming, like very soon.
Let's see what's next on the docket. Oh, here we go. Shinsuke Nakamura and Jeff Hardy, U.S. title. I got Nakamura.
Yeah, same here. Shinsuke.
Yeah, that's pretty easy here. Something's up with the Hardys. I think they're going to take some time off. And maybe I'm not sure what's going on fully, but yeah.
Do you think Randy Orton gets involved here at all? Or do you think he comes out and makes him touch his wang?
Oh, Lord.
Moving on, ladies and gentlemen.
Moving on. Let's see what else we got. There's a lot of matches, like I said. Braun Strowman, Kevin Owens. This is going to lead into more of my predictions later on the show, but I do think one way or the other, Kevin Owens is going to win this match. Don't be surprised if Corbin gets involved or Kurt Angle gets involved. Some shenanigans are going to go down, and I think Kevin Owens is going to beat Braun Strowman.
I know. I know. I just sound like I'm fantasy booking, and I probably am. I just feel like there's an alliance forming, and it seems like it's forming right in front of our face, and it's just and again, maybe I could be wrong. I just, I in a way want to believe that Owens is going to win this match because of that, Josh. You know what I mean? Because I think that would play into stuff that you and I have talked about, off microphone, I guess, just like our personal, like what would be fun if this happened kind of deal. It's none of your people's business out there. It's just fantasy booking you guys don't want to hear. That's all. But I think, dude, that I'll admit I would find it very hard to believe them taking it off of the briefcase off of Strowman, but Strowman wouldn't need it, and it would be a great way for Strowman to get revenge after Brock Lesnar's gone if there was a cash in. Because not to get too ahead of ourselves, but I don't see, there's no way the biggest surprise of the night for me would be a clean Roman Reigns over Brock Lesnar win. You know, just straight clean, nothing, like no craziness, no nothing, just straight clean pinfall. And, you know, and we'll talk about that match in a second. But I don't know, man. I just feel like no matter who, man, my mind tells me again, Occam's razor. They put it on Strowman for a reason. They're going to keep it on Strowman. They're just doing this to kind of excite the internet fan. So I'm just going to go with Strowman just for that shit. And I don't want to because I want Owens to win. Not because I'm a bigger fan, just because of, I'm so torn right now. I want Shania Twain to come out and cost Owens the match, damn it. I'm still on the Shania Twain kick.
I believe plays in the background.
She came out just singing it, and he stops and
when that's the song he was talking about. My bad.
He just drops to his knees, and then like that'd be the funniest thing, man. It'd be the funniest thing. I never thought I'd see Jon Stewart in the ring. You know, I mean, right. I'm not saying she would be in the ring. I'm just saying it's, you know, I'm just getting ridiculous now, guys. But I think that this has been more of a shiny object for us to try and cling on to. As much as I'd love to see it and see how the storyline would play out, I think that Strowman probably retains but I hope I'm wrong. Like, I'm right now, percentage-wise, like Scott Steiner math, I'm like 51% leaning Strowman holds on to the briefcase and like 49% Owens. But like if there was an electoral college of my mind, like Owens would win. And so it's just like whichever one that you prefer.
Ronda Rousey against Alexa Bliss.
Rousey by disqualification. She still doesn't get the title.
Yeah, I agree. I think Ronda Rousey, this is a long-term thing, but I think she's going to win the title at Evolution.
Oh, okay. I can see that. Yeah, that makes sense to me. That makes sense. And that gives them a couple more months to kind of build with this. So,
Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, I'm going Rousey wins by disqualification. I just don't think they put the title on. Yeah, so technically Rousey, but yeah, Bliss still walks out as champ.
Oh, man, people are going to be salty, but you know what? I'm going to get a good laugh out of it. I'm not going to get mad about it, to be honest with you. They're going to work themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like every other time. All right.
Yep.
Next one. Seth Rollins against Dolph Ziggler. IC title. This one should be a lot of fun.
Oh, man. This is where I think Ambrose plants Rollins. And Ziggler retains. I think Ambrose is turning on Rollins on this one. And this is where we kind of see the new Dean Ambrose.
I actually have Rollins winning, then Ambrose turning after.
Okay. I can see that. Yeah. I hate I hate feeling like that's the only way I see this going right now. But I feel like that's why they waited. It was like, there's just a lot of obvious kind of, and maybe it doesn't happen, and it probably, and again, with most of the stuff that I say, it probably doesn't happen. It just seems like that's, not that they would be changing Ambrose's look anyway. Again, like my complaint about Daniel Bryan earlier was I feel like the character hasn't changed and characters need to evolve. So I'm glad that Ambrose does have that meaner look, but he has that heel look. He has that antagonist. He has that lunatic fringe that he was, that he is billed as versus like the goofy guy that's coming out with like props and toys and stuff, So
I want to give a shout out to Dolph Ziggler because what he said on Monday during his contract signing was on point about the fickleness in the crowd and where were they during his hard times. I thought his promo during that contract signing was on point. So
I thought it was good. My only criticism would be, no offense to Dolph, but he, as much as I know he wants to be Cena in a lot of ways, he could never ran that schedule that Cena ran. And I say that respectfully. I say that absolutely respectfully because that's why John Cena was champion for all those years. That's why we don't you know what I mean? Like we don't realize. And with Ziggler having so many outside interests right now, you know what I mean? I don't know. I find it comical, like guys like him and Orton are really just leveraging the internet against themselves just because they know that it's just low hanging fruit. That's all. You're better than that, Dolph. You're better than that.
I know one thing's for sure, man. Ron's going to make sure this one steals the show. So This is gonna be a fun match.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. They're gonna be, if nothing else. I'd like to personally say, and I'm obviously kidding around, but I'd like to personally say to Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler, you're welcome. I was in the crowd at Pittsburgh that lit a fire under both of your asses that want to steal the show now. So without us, there would be no, there wouldn't be this desire to really want to take over SummerSlam. So you're welcome. But blame the goddamn PPG Paints Arena. That place was horrible to be at that night.
PPG.
It's horrible. It was such a horrible environment that night.
Yeah. Speaking of WWE's version of You're Welcome, we got The Miz versus Daniel Bryan. I got The Miz.
I'm going with The Miz as well.
Last couple matches here. Samoa Joe against AJ Styles for the WWE title. I'm going with Samoa Joe, actually.
Yeah, they're laying the family layering on pretty thick here. Man, I think this probably extends out at least one more pay-per-view. So I'll go with Styles just for sake of, 'cause it almost seems like if Styles drops it, I mean, I don't know when contracts are up or whatever, but I think that if Styles' contract is like up maybe even sometime next year, it'd be better to get the title off him sooner than later so that he could start to help put over other talent, for when he's gone. Because I think there is a lot of truth to what's being said. I mean, the man loves his family, and I couldn't imagine being away from my family that much, and that's why you'll never hear me criticize a lot of these men and women, because especially the ones that are married with children, because I mean, you're away from your family 5 days a week, sleeping in fucking hotels. It sounds luxurious when you're in your 20s, but I'm sure when you're in your 30s, and it does take a toll on you mentally, along with the physical toll that your body takes in the ring. So, that's just where I sit. But again, I'm just the old dude on these podcasts. There's a lot more bravado with the younger side of it. But what do I know? My daughter's just smarter than half the wrestling internet podcasts out there. But
not Kevin Owens, but Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. Brother, I'm going to let you explain your thoughts, because your prediction is basically the same wavelength I'm going with. So I'll let you – the floor is yours.
Yeah, and I think this is a giant fantasy booking thing. And, we've been talking about it for a minute, and it just – I can't see after everything that I guess the Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman, Roman Reigns saga, I can't see them, really aligning, especially after, the spray. Although it could have been water, we don't know, the pepper spray. But I think that, if we're going to tie in, even though I picked Strowman, we're going to say that Kevin Owens wins Money in the Bank. I see a double turn where it looks like he's going to, he's going to turn on Brock Lesnar, but we see ultimately Kevin Owens cash in at the end of the night, and Kevin Owens walks out Universal Champion. I don't see Brock Lesnar taking a clean pinfall whatsoever. I just don't. Not that he hasn't before, when he left to go try out for the Vikings before he went to UFC. He took a clean pinfall to Goldberg, who was also leaving. Not that it wasn't necessary. I mean, it was a clean pin, if you want to call it that. It was something. We'll say that it was something. But I don't know, man. I think Lesnar is a little bit more of a professional than people also make him out to be. But I think that there would be a lot of there would be a huge payoff, man, in having like this big time double turn where ultimately, and this was my idea, where Paul Heyman not only cost Brock Lesnar but Roman Reigns the championship, and Kevin Owens comes down, he can cash in, and then they fire Kurt Angle, and Paul Heyman is your new general manager of Raw. So Heyman's only skin in the game is to get general manager so that he has a job. He's not going to represent anyone anymore. I just feel like there's an alliance forming, and again, I'm not gonna talk about it because it is what it is. But Josh, you and I know where we're at with that. But that. If it goes not just Occam's razor of Roman Reigns, wins and everyone whatever. If there's a way that they're going to try and either swerve the crowd or kind of please or placate to the crowd, I see it more with Owens than I do anybody else. And I think that Paul Heyman is the catalyst and is really the key to everything.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman.
And it seems like there's so many moving pieces for that, right? Yeah. There's so many moving pieces, but it would make a lot of sense for a long-term story, because like you were saying earlier, Baron Corbin being the constable. Constable Corbin there's a new sheriff in town, my friend. And when the constable's there, Sam's in the other room. And I know I'm laying it on thick because she's in the other room now. And I know she just hates what's going on. But, I just think that there's ways that they can really, SummerSlam, they take more chances than they do WrestleMania. And I think that they can really have fun, taking us on a journey this Sunday. So I'm really looking forward to what can or can't happen. And I won't be upset if we get just Roman Reigns, winning. I won't be upset by that. Don't be surprised either if Brock Lesnar walks out as Universal Champion. That's the other thing. I want everybody to understand that if he wins, walks out, and they have to strip him on Monday, that's exactly 500 days. So.
And that's also a charm about SummerSlam weekend in general. It's not just TakeOver and SummerSlam. You got Raw and SmackDown as well. So you don't know who's going to show up from NXT. You don't know what titles will change. Like I said, you can see Seth Rollins winning on Sunday. They're losing it immediately the next night due to the whole thing with Ambrose. So it could go a lot of ways.
And they've been known to, or at least it seems recently after a big show, and even after Money in the Bank and stuff, they've been having really hot shows where they've delivered on, not overdoing surprises or turns or curveballs or anything like that, but they've been really hitting sweet spots where I feel like they haven't been oversaturated. It hasn't been too scarce either. They've been dragging us along just right and giving us those little moments just right. Because we can't have every segment be that oh my god pop moment of you have to deliver the story a little bit too, so that you ultimately have that payoff. And I think they've been spacing them out in a good way so that it's not all happening at once with all storylines. And I think that's where it's tripping some fans up because they're used to everything at once or nothing at all. And right now they're kind of giving us payoffs at different times. So it doesn't feel as linear for some people, I think.
Yeah, you're not going to have that humming feeling unless you see Alexa Bliss, but that's neither here nor there.
It's insane. I'm trying not to catch a right cross, so I'm gonna plead the fifth.
Plead the fifth. Man. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be a wrap for this week's edition of Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed it. You can listen to the podcast every single week on Apple Podcasts.
Wait!
1 minute. Go ahead.
Now.
No?
Like this. No, ready?
No, what you're saying.
Guess what? No, I just wanted to make it real uncomfortable for a minute. So listen, all right.
Oh.
No, did you guys feel how uncomfortable that was? Did you guys all feel how uncomfortable that was? Now, Josh, I told you about this. I just wanted to make this real quick. Yeah. And I need people out there that listen to this to let me know. Like, tweet at me or message me on Instagram or something. If there's only like 4 of you that listen for me. So let me know. Like, is dude like derogatory now? Because like I'm like nearing 40 and I'm just an old hippie that uses dude as like a thing. But Josh, I was telling you about this. I got corrected by someone this dude got a little huffy. Was like, hey man, just don't. Could you quit calling me dude? I'm like, it's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm almost 40. It's a thing. And then he was like, I didn't know you were almost that. Almost in like an apologetic way. Like, oh, my bad, man. I didn't really realize you were that old. Go ahead. It's okay. Like, is that about dude? I don't know, man. Read that sense. What is negative about dude? What am I missing? I'm old now, man. And I need to know these things. Yeah. Because that's how that awkward silence that I delivered right there and how I made you stutter and how we kept going back and forth and it didn't make sense and that's how I felt for like a good 10 minutes in this store after this dude corrected me because I just didn't know why. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I'm old, man. I'm old.
I'll never understand things that tick people off these days. It makes no sense.
Well, because everybody wants to get mad about something. But it's funny though, because and I'll end with this because I always like to end with a joke. It's funny that people always want to get mad, but they don't like the truth. Like for example, my whole life, my family's Catholic, and I told them, religion isn't for me. And I'm not saying religion isn't a good thing, but let's just say I'm sure glad I'm not a Pennsylvania Catholic. But I'm saying, over 1,000 served. Oh shit, sorry, my bad. And with that, I say adieu.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, please check us out on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and YouTube. Like, this video right now. Subscribe to the channel. Leave us a review. Let us know what you think about the show. If you guys missed my appearance on ESPN 1000, go check out the Under the Hood podcast on the ESPN app, right by ESPN Chicago. Or you can check out Hoodie's podcast on Apple Podcasts as well. So Tuesday Wrestling Tuesday, I had the honor and privilege to be a guest on Hoodie's show. We had a lot of fun, and I appreciate everybody that did get a chance to listen to the interview and send their shout-outs my way. It's very humbling. It was a very good start to the week. I've been very busy with covering G1 shows, which wrapped up this past week, and I'll promise to dish out that G1 reaction special later on this weekend. It's going to be 20, 25 minutes. I'm not going to do it for long. It's going to be a very busy week, wrestling weekend for all of us. So I'm just going to talk about my experience, cover the event as a whole, and I had a great time, just like I had a great time here recording this podcast as always with my brother Adam, the Clown Prince. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Notorious Joshi. Follow Pinky Vice on Twitter if you like. And that's pretty much it, folks. Hope you guys enjoy SummerSlam. Hope you guys enjoy NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. You probably won't because you don't like having fun, but that's neither here nor there. For the Clown Prince, I'm Notorious Josh Lopez. Thank you guys so much for checking out episode 119 of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. Remember, you're the director of your life story. Never let anybody dictate your integrity or character. We're out. Peace!